think it's good to have a way to express yourself in
Mhm.
this day and age. If I were to look back, a lot of the friends that I had that were in the most trouble, they were oftentimes very talented, you know what I mean? And they just didn't feel they could express themselves in any other way. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're a man, you can't really express your emotions. That's a female thing." I wouldn't be able to get to this point where I am now if I were singing. Without music, I wouldn't be able to say, I'm alive, because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't know what else I could do, you know?
If you had to give advice to like men out there, what does putting in the work like look like? Because yeah, like you said, there are these gender roles of like what a man should do and what a woman should do. Like I just feel like a lot of people are putting quote unquote in the work, but on the exterior. Yes, working out is great,
Mm,
but everybody's
mm,
focused on trying to get this body, but then
mhm.
their internal is messed up, and it's so backwards.
It's a lot of work, and a lot of the work actually begins with.
Oh my goodness, you're like making me tear up over here. Welcome to Intimate Chats with Jess. This is where I have conversations, open conversations with people.
Mhm.
And we're gonna start off with getting to know you. So I like to start off with getting to know my guests and
Okay.
kind of ask you to take us back. Tell us who was Divine. See, I'm calling you Divine now. Omar as a child. Who was Omar as a child? Who was Omar
Yeah.
as a teenager? And who is Omar now? And then once we talk about that, then we'll get into the topic of the good men versus and all of
Hmm.
that. So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you can call me Divine if you want. Either way, it'll work. Yeah. You don't have to think too much about it. I
okay.
will answer. You
Okay.
want me to just kind of go into it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Or are you
yeah.
gonna ask
So who was
questions?
Omar as a kid? Tell us, get. Well, first of all, well, where were you from? And then, yeah, get into it.
Okay. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Um, Very much so raised in the church house. Singer since I can remember. Just always, in a choir somewhere. Very particular about how some things should go. Of course, being raised Christian, I also did, later in my life, done a lot of studies. I like to try and see God from all sides. So I got into a couple of other religions, trying to come to an understanding of what people follow and things of that nature. As a teenager, I floated around. I've been to a lot of cities. Actually, I just moved out here to LA and has been out here
Oh.
since. Yeah. As an adult, I've literally come to a point where I know that I've grown. You know how well, maybe not. Sometimes you'll get to a point where you're like, oh, I remember when I was young, this would have uh, been a whole different situation, and being able to recognize that as an adult is a it's a strange thing, but it's a good thing at the same time. It's mostly one of those things where it's like, oh my God, I remember as a kid, this is exactly how I would have acted, but as an adult, it's like I feel different about it. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally. You can see your growth or like how
Yeah,
much you've grown and changed.
yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
It's a good thing because when you're going through what some people would call a quote unquote healing journey,
Mhm.
um, it's you have to go and sometimes, not sometimes, every time, kind of think back to those younger interactions, because a lot of people will expect you to remain that person, and growth is how you actually become an adult instead of doing the same thing over and over and over again because it worked once, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
versus trying to come to an understanding in who I am and what I actually want. You know what I mean? Instead of what would the crowd expect me to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure, for sure. So as a kid, do you feel like you were more in tune with who you were, your most authentic self?
Absolutely not. As a kid, I was traumatized. If I'm being honest.
Mm,
It's not really a laughing matter, but it's one of those things where, once you get to a certain point, you're able to say, okay, that I can kind of laugh at that. But
mhm,
literally, and this is kind of like super, jumping, maybe it's too much information, but my mother tried to kill me multiple times as an infant and I survived. You know what I mean? So
mm,
it was a situation where I had to basically try and, grow through that while still being a child. You know what I mean? And, you're not understanding everything that's going on, but getting to a point where, if I'm answering the question,
mhm,
my youth was very very traumatic experience. But I also, took the time to recognize the good thing that's happening. You know what I mean? And
mm,
in my adulthood, come to understand the triggers, quote unquote, that um, kind of cause those older behaviors. You know what I mean? And getting to a point where I know that, you know what I mean? Because I don't. There's a saying like you come to understand yourself, you can understand other people also. You know what I mean?
mm,
And that healing that I've done has put me in a space where I can look at someone else and say, "Oh, they're just going through something. I know I need to do this or that." You know what I mean? Because I've gone through it before. You know what I mean? And I've healed through it, and I've come to an understanding in myself, so I can see it in other people.
mm,
But to answer the question, uh, I no, I did not know myself as a kid. I was very much so just trying to survive, if I'm being honest, and that consisted mostly of just going to school, you know, singing in the choir, trying to stay out of trouble.
mm. Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, there's nothing too much here. That's what we
Okay,
call it. Yeah. Yeah, nothing too much. Everything that you say, there's someone who can relate to that out there,
okay.
multiple people. So, just thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable.
Mhm.
And oh, so about the singing, is that something that you were always passionate in? Like, how did you get connected to singing?
Like I said, my I was always in the church. My
Um,
grandfather, the man that I know as my grandfather, his mother founded a church in Nashville, Tennessee. It's called Universal Christian Church, and we literally from as early as I can remember, for real, was singing in the church because they're very much so musical family. My dad, the man I know as my dad, played the drums. His brothers played the piano. Grandfather played the piano. You know what I mean? So I was the singer. You know what I mean? My little brother was a drummer. My sister is a singer also. I don't know if she still sings, but yeah, it's very much so what you know, one of those things that I feel that I cannot not do. You know what I mean? It's like if I'm not singing, if I'm not writing, if I'm not making music, I feel like, life is too hard. You know what I mean? I get a little depressed. You know what I mean? Like I need to be able to make music and sing and entertain almost.
mm,
So definitely probably was singing before I could walk, to tell the truth. You know?
mm. Wow, wow. Um, Thank you for sharing that. I think that's so special and relatable for a lot of people who have um a creative streak to them or an artsy or that or musical. They find that healing in it. and it is literally like their savior and their
Yeah,
happiness for sure.
yeah.
Special, special. Okay, so take us into your teenage stage. Is it kind of the same or
Yeah, music ended up being a big part of my life, my entire life. Even in school, from school to, just random groups, you know what I mean? High school, middle school, all throughout, you know, the teenage life. It was literally just, you know, everything extra and music. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I got these things that I need to do that are musical, and everything else, you know what I mean? It just got thrown into another bucket.
mm,
Um, but very much so, the drive, you know what I mean? What really kept me excited for the most part is, all right, at the end of the week, I know I'm going to be singing somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm working on this project to, be able to go and share this somewhere. So yeah, absolutely. Um, I like to say that I wouldn't be able to get to this point where I am now, where I can, express myself the way that I do if I were singing, you know what I mean? And without music, I wouldn't be able to say, I'm alive, because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't know what else I could do, you know?
mm, mhm, 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 mm, okay. And then so yeah, so that's pretty much shaped your life and up until now. Um, do you feel like you can be more, I mean, you seem like you're on the journey, but now coming into yourself, growing into yourself, being your most true and authentic you, and how do you feel
Abs-
now?
Absolutely. I think it's good to have a way to express yourself in
Mm,
this day and age, because the way society is set up is kind of forcing you to look inward anyways, because outside isn't really helping much, you know what I mean? So if you're able to, I think that's, if I were to look back, a lot of the friends that I had that were in the most trouble, you know what I mean? They were oftentimes very talented, you know what I mean? And they just didn't feel they could express themselves in any other way. And they rarely actually expressed themselves artistically because they were trying so hard to fit in, if that makes any sense. And,
mhm,
fitting in oftentimes doesn't really lead to artistic, output. But, I think I was lucky enough to be around a lot of creatives and able to, blessed enough to, meet a lot of the people that I met during my life. You know what I mean? That gave me, the tools that I needed to be able to express those things a lot more than I would usually. If I were, just around those types that were just, under the spell, quote unquote. You know what I mean? And I'm just glad that I was able to, be in those positions. If I were to say, try and link it with my healing journey, a lot of my songs have been just me expressing, the the energy, the emotion, you know what I mean, that I was feeling at the time, you know what I mean, and a lot of people say, "Oh, you're a man, you can't really express your emotions. That's a female thing." You know what I mean?
mhm,
But not being around those people, those types, you know what I mean, and able the ability to actually express myself through music, you know what I mean, and be feeling unashamed to, say how I feel in those moments,
mhm,
um, really, helped me out a lot. It's therapy, along with, they say that the vibrations in themselves, from the vocal cords and the singing and the the notes that you hit are also helping. You know what I mean? It's a whole science to it for real, but it's something I can get real deep into, but I don't want to fall too far into the rabbit hole right now, to tell the truth.
Wow, I love that perspective. I didn't even know that. That is very, very interesting. Is that something that you talk about on your TikTok?
No, lately I haven't been posting much, mostly because I've been trying to work on a project. I'm
Mm.
trying to rebrand also. I have one TikTok, but if you search Omar Divine, five of them pull up. So it's like someone's been trying to do that. So
Oh, you're stealing your
yeah,
identity already as an
yeah.
artist?
Oh man, I guess I should be flattered, but at the other end of the spectrum, it's making me put in a whole lot more work than I should.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm in the midst of a rebrand right now, and usually what I put on there is like poetry, songs that I've written. So technically, yeah, because it's like the feeling of today coming out through this vessel. But the last couple of posts have been just promotion for little shows that I'm doing and things of that nature. I'm waiting on a certain time when I can get the rebrand full and I can work it to where it can't be played with too much to actually get back on there. Because I know a lot of people on TikTok now, right now, that are saying, yeah, every time I post something, somebody takes my post and put it on their page, and then it's like, oh wow, that's messed up. But
mhm,
it is what it is. I don't want the people that enjoy my music and enjoy me to be too caught up in the system. You know what I mean? That they get scammed by somebody. I would hate that to happen.
yeah, yeah, that's true. You gotta just be careful with that. It's just, I feel like it's gonna continue happening more and more, as
Yeah,
technology grows and everything. So
facts.
I completely understand that. Understand that. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit of your story and telling us about yourself and just being you. I can tell just
Yeah,
from talking to you, you have a really amazing spirit and energy, and you're gifted. And even um, I always truly admire those the most who have gone through traumatic childhoods or just anything and still they shine with positivity and light and love. Because
yeah,
I feel like it's harder to do that. So many people who go through traumatic experiences then pour the hate out.
yeah. Well, I like to think, as much as I've gone through, I know other people have gone through things too. And I would rather not, I know how it feels to hurt, so I don't want to hurt nobody
Mm.
else. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel the hurt, therefore I don't want others to feel the hurt. You know what I mean? I want
Mhm.
to try and spread as much positivity as I can because I know that if you show love to others, they will learn how to show love. You know what I mean? You can only
Mm.
learn from your experience. So if you're constantly being shown love, you're going to automatically do that. You know what I mean? That's going to be the what's the word for it? The default. You default show love. You know what I mean? And I wanted to get to a point where you know the hate is, an outlier. You got to go to extreme lengths to be able to do that. You know what I mean? But, you
Mm.
know, that takes a step at a time. So I
Mm.
appreciate you very much so for recognizing, showing love and inviting me on your podcast or video vlog or,
Mhm.
so I appreciate you very much. So thank you.
Yes, of course, of course. Um, okay, so now getting into the post. So I want to know your reaction first off when you saw
Mhm.
my video come up and like what things did it bring up for you?
If I'm honest, I've kind of curated my For You page to be more positive. Uh, I,
Mm-hmm.
I I am big on the block button. I am big on not interested. You know what I mean? So when your page came, well, when your video came up, it was like, oh, that's beautiful. I like this. You know what I mean? Because it's like you want to be able to show love more and just say, hey, we're trying to heal over here. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to heal, come heal with us. You know what I mean? Because it's easier. Like a lot of people like to isolate to heal, which isn't a bad thing, you know, because you got to take the knife out your back if you want it to heal. You know what I mean? But
Mm,
also, if you have a group of people that are also actually trying to, you know, be that positivity in the world, actually give space to those who are trying to heal. You know what I mean? The, you know, it's almost amazing how much a group of people can do that are mentally in the space of trying to create a positive vibe. You know what I mean? Because I've seen the things that I've done, you know what I mean? Helping, you know, in this space, you know what I mean? And to think that there's multiple people out there, it's like, oh God, I'm not alone. Oh, it feels so good, you know. Being able to, you know, share these type of spaces and this energy, you know. So um, I was excited to tell the truth.
mm. Oh my goodness. You're like making me tear up over here. Oh my, that's so wow, wow, wow.
It's needed. It's needed. It's needed. Let's be honest. As much toxicity and negativity that we have in this world, to be able to say that, you know, some people aren't like that, and actually be able to see it and, you know, interact and, you know, actually be able to say, okay, let me get this fresh water. You know what I mean? It's needed. It's very much so needed, and I'm grateful, really.
Have that in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So going on to the topic of good men, and I don't really like to. Honestly, it was just I was sitting in my I was doing laundry and sitting in silence, which is what I kind of try to do
Mhm.
to listen to my inner guidance and see how I'm feeling, check in with myself. And I'm actually navigating like a breakup of being with someone for 12 years
Mhm.
and feeling like pretty much I guess if I could express how I felt after was how you painted it. I actually drew a picture of it of uh being stabbed in the back, you know?
Mhm.
And like,
Mhm.
you know, and having to reframe my mindset and blah blah blah. And I just realized that I just never had experiences with men who are um like I want to say like emotionally healthy on like
Mhm.
healthy externally, you know, outwardly,
Mhm.
but most importantly internally and are in
Mhm.
tune and have been like putting in the work on themselves. And I feel like, you know,
Mhm.
it's portrayed as such a like a woman thing, but I do feel like a lot of men like need that, you know. I mean everybody needs
Mhm.
that. So I just was like, you know what, I think the problem for me is that I just am not exposed to it. So I kind of just randomly was like, oh, let me go on TikTok and see what happens
Yeah.
to have conversations. So yeah, like what is your yeah, like how do you view that with like men needing to really like work on themselves and the good men, I mean the healthy, like everything that I pretty much said, like what comes up for you?
Um, if I'm being honest, your story is not a single one.
I
I've
know.
definitely had those type of conversations with a lot of women where it's like every guy's like this, and you're like, oh, whoa, whoa, not every guy. Like I'm positive you've met some people that were very much so like, no, I want to be this, but society has kind of trained women to search for a certain type. You know what I mean? And it's like it's almost scary for real because that certain type also tends to be very much so trained in itself. You know what I mean? And the thing about training is, um, if it if there's anything that goes against that training, or if there's anything that isn't, you know, in the rule book, people don't really know how to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's a thing in psychology. If I can remember the word, cognitive dissonance is what it's called. Cognitive dissonance, and what that means is when there's information that people receive that doesn't really work well with their programming. Not only do they not know how to accept it or receive it, you know what I mean? It's also, it could be dangerous to the point that they'll act out and things of that nature. So it's very much so a thing that when you are the ideal, you know, version of what society wants you to be, you tend to look for what you think is, or what you've been told is the other side of that. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of people are like, nah, you ain't no man because you don't do blah, blah, blah. You're not a woman because you're not doing blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, I'm not, I don't dislike the LGBTQ community, but one thing that I really accept from their knowledge is the idea of gender roles. A lot of people get into the gender roles and they're like, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. When the truth is, no, no, it's a spectrum. It literally is a spectrum. Because, like, I know women that could put a car together in fucking days. And I know men that can cook like a lot of the food that you eat was prepared by a man. You know what I mean? And to say that, women, it's like those gender roles tend to cause a lot of friction. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is what we expect of you because you are this. You know what I mean? When the truth is, okay, I might be not talking to me personally, but I know people where it's like, okay, I'm just not really good with babies, so I guess I'm not supposed to be having babies. When there are men out there that are just perfect with kids, and it's like, oh, they love you know what I mean? And it's like, we shouldn't hold on to these ideas. And I believe a lot of them came from slavery, to be honest. But I don't think we should hold on to these ideas that are causing more problems than actually, doing good. But it's very much so a situation where, the boys clubs and the fraternities and these things, they're a thing for a reason. And a lot of it has to do with the want and need to be accepted into a group. You know what I mean? And the nature of what we are as humans. We are communal beings. You know what I mean? So we want to gather, and if the place where we're gathering is in essence a boys club or a girls club or a fraternity, you know what I mean, where you're in essence being indoctrinated, with a type of knowledge. It's not, oh, this is how you create a family. No, it's all right, this is what a man is supposed to be, this is what a woman's supposed to be. You know what I mean? This kind of leaves out the things, you know what I mean? But then again, that's the reason that cults are so popular here. You know what I mean? It's very easy to fall into these, groups because we as human beings want to be communal. And that's one reason why I think the idea of what you're doing is so good because, it's going to, grow, and there's going to be people that are going to be like, okay, yeah, I feel this, and it's going to be a space that is positive. You know what I mean? And this is what we need.
Mm. Yes, yes. And thank you for saying that because I honestly, I
Yeah.
think it's very, I didn't realize like how scary it was after I kind of posted it and I got response and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm a woman that's gonna be like opening herself up to talk to any kind of man. I don't know who's gonna
yeah,
come here,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it's been a joy. I had one person, I actually had three people for today. There was a guy who showed up, the second guy didn't show
Hmm.
up, and then it was like
Hmm.
you. And like the
Hmm.
other guy was amazing. You're amazing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, thank you, God. Because I also trust too. I trust that God is gonna send me the right people, the people who are
Hmm.
actually like there's a lot of people that can
Yeah,
say they're this, but
yeah,
their energy tells it all,
yeah,
and you're
yeah,
both
yeah,
of your energies tell it all. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Just hoping that.
yeah,
And I try to be, you know, it's a work in progress, you know. But
yeah. And speaking of the work, so tell us about the work. What if you had to give advice to like men out there, what does putting in the work like look like? Because yeah, like you said, there are these gender roles of like what a man should do and what a woman should do, and yeah, like I just feel like a lot of people are putting quote unquote in the work, but on the exterior. Yes, working out is great,
mm,
but everybody's
mm,
focused on trying to get this body, but then
mm,
their internal is messed up. And it's so backwards. So
mm.
what is that?
Uh, it's a lot of work, and a lot of the work actually begins with finding your voice. If I'm being honest, because a lot of people get kind of caught up in the popular and what other people have done and will do. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, who am I? You know what I mean? A lot of people don't even know who they are, for sure. You know what I mean? They know the character that they've created. You know what I mean? But it's kind of hard. It's actually very hard, especially in this society, to be just yourself. You know, just to be able to say, all right, this is what I like, and I'm not doing this because of any group or any other person. I don't care. I'm not influenced by what somebody might think or how somebody else might move. This is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I don't really care about what other people want. You know what I mean? It's very it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And if you're into doing the hard work, you can do it, you know, but it's very much so a thing where you have to recognize, you know what I mean? People are going, but it's one of those things because it's it's easy to sit in your quiet place and get to a place where you're like, okay, this is me, the screams, the outside noise, all of this, I can tell it apart. But going out into society and doing the same thing, staying in your quiet place while you're
Mhm.
out here in the world, it's not easy. You know what I mean? It's literally the world is kind of, well, I won't say the world. American society is literally aimed at trying to get you out of your quiet place, trying to get you off of your square. And, you know, it's not the easiest to be able to say, no, I'm going to listen to myself. I'm going to move how I want to move instead of, you know, the, what I would like to say, self preservation that has been curated through my youth. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to go against that. You know what I mean? Yeah, as a kid, if somebody fucking bumped me on my shoulder, we had to fight because I don't know why they're trying to bump me on my shoulder. Now I'm an adult, you know what I mean? I'm trying to live my truth. I have to realize that, okay, this could be a distraction. This could be just somebody that's wanting to get you to a certain place so they can lock you up or something. You know what I mean? Outside of that, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Why am I so easily knocked off of my path
Mm.
when I had something to do before that guy bumped me on my shoulder. But now, since he bumped me on my shoulder, that's all that I'm gonna do. Like everything that I had planned before this guy bumped me on my shoulder just gone to the wind because he bumped me on my shoulder. It's one of those type things. You know what I mean? Where it's like even in relationships, uh, it's hard sometimes to recognize that your partner is a human being also, and not just someone that's there that you can have fun with. You know what I mean? It's literally a situation where, okay, she might be having a bad day. That don't mean that I throw everything to the wind. You know what I mean? But it also doesn't mean that I ignore it. You know what I mean? I have to recognize that this person is someone that I want around. You know what I mean? And if I want them around, I also want them to be happy too. You know what I mean? So as much as I'm trying to work on my happiness, I have to be able to, have the type of conversations that's gonna say, hey, all right, let's try to work this out. We still got to do this, but also, you know what I mean? Putting those type of things in perspective is gonna be one of the hardest things you actually have to do, because the term that we are all gods and we all have our own universe to work in. You know what I mean? I have my own mind, you have your own mind. You know what I mean? If your mind says this and my mind says something different and we just happen to be in the same space, there will be a clash. You know what I mean? But at the other end of the spectrum, we've got to recognize that, okay, that's your universe. This is my universe. Those things are going to happen. Things are happening, like asteroids collide all the time. You know what I mean? They hit planets, they hit, you know what I mean? But being able to recognize that and not just take that as, oh, this is war. This doesn't have to be that all the time. It's just the chaos of the universe. Sometimes it happens like that. You know what I mean? And if we're trying to build a relationship, we've got to understand that when those things happen, we've got to see what has become of it, how we can move on, things of that nature. And even if it's a situation where it's too big, you've blown my son up, you know what I mean? Taking the time to be able to say, all right, I've loved you this long and I love you still. I want you to do well still, even if it's not with me. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Those type of things. You know what I mean? So it's a lot and it's not going to be easy. I wish there was a way I could just say, oh, you just take the pill and you snap your fingers twice and you click your heels together and magically everything works. You know what I mean? But it's very much so a step-by-step process. I have a song called One Step at a Time, and I haven't put it out yet, but literally it's it says it's not enough hours in the day to love you the way you deserve. It's not enough seconds in the minutes in the hours to give you the love that I've been saving for you. Time is so cruel. But I'll walk with you, and give you my love one step at a time. And I wrote that because I know that, you'll be sitting there sometimes and you're like, I don't feel like you love me for real. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I wish I had all hours of the day. I could just stop time and just give you all the love until you actually feel, satisfied, but there's just not, it takes one step at a time, so um, this is the most important thing, not giving up, just keep trying and understanding that the work that you're doing is worth it at the end of the day,
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Wow. So, so, so beautiful. Wow.
I appreciate
Yeah, truly. And your voice. So yeah, now I definitely approve. He's definitely a singer. Then you know people say that and then you hear them sing and they're like,
like,
yeah, that's
oh.
you're great. You're great. My.
Like, oh, this
Yes.
is why you got singers and you got singers. It's just different.
Ah, yes. Yes. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, the community thing also very important and aligns with what a lot of people are navigating through, and that's finding their community. And like you said,
Mhm,
there that is can expedite your healing process immediately by
mhm,
being around a lot of people that ooze that light and that love and that
mhm,
acceptance.
mhm,
Uh
mhm.
yeah, yeah. So what would be your advice for people to find those spaces?
Um, I would say don't look for quote unquote community, meaning like a group of people. Find a person, you
Mm,
know, start from one person. And as you keep going through life, you'll find other people. You know what I mean? And you might fall into a group because I say that because I've joined a lot of different, communities trying to find like, oh, this is where I belong, or this is where I belong. And every time there's something that's like, oh no, 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 no. You know what I'm saying? So find you one person and then keep being yourself, keep growing and find that other person. And it's just it'll happen organically. You know what I mean? Instead of saying I need to go join fucking for example, Scientology, or I need to go join the fucking Christians. It's not, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? Because we aren't all altruistic, if that makes any sense. We're not all trying to do the right thing. And sometimes it takes, you know, finding one person and then holding on to them. You find that good person, hold on to them, basically, and
mm,
do everything that you need and can to, not necessarily make them happy, but to keep them in a good headspace. You know what I mean? Do right by the people who do right by you. You know what I mean? And even beyond that, um, like minds, once you get them together, just try and stay together for real. Because the world is a fucked up place for real. And, you find a good person, you should try to hold on to them.
mm, yeah. Well, what is your idea of where these good people are? Where do you think that they are?
As crazy as the world is, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's literally a situation where it's like random places. If I'm being honest.
Uh-huh.
Uh, One of the persons that I consider to be my best friend for real, I got introduced to him by a girl that liked him. No, he liked her. She was a little bit weird, but we had been talking, and
Uh-huh.
like I had been trying to, help her to, get over some of the things that she was dealing with. And she was just like, "Oh, let me introduce you to a friend." And we've been like locked in since then. You know what I mean? So it's like you never really know, to be honest,
Mm.
because neither one of us really talk to her anymore. But
Yeah.
like we're still locked in, you know what I mean? And it's random things that can create those spaces, you know what I mean? Because you never know. If I'm being honest, it could be just I was in the grocery store one day and I just overheard a conversation and it just became that. It could be that, not to say that that's a
Mhm.
way, but you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like you never really know, to be
Yeah.
honest. I wish there were a place you can say, just go down here to, to
Yeah.
Lexington and 36, and they got a group meeting that happens out there every week. You know what I mean? I wish it were that easy, but it's one of
Oh.
those things where it's like sometimes the people you think are like-minded, and are in this group, and you join that group, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see what's going on here, and you have to step back. You know what I mean? Because there's been
Mhm.
multiple situations that I thought I joined, and I was like, oh, y'all are really anti me at the end of the day, even though you all give off good vibes. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes it happens like that. You know what I mean? You think you're in a good space and it ends up not being. And that's the reason that I'm a big proponent on, you find a good person, hold on to them because you never know. You know what I mean? Not to
Mm.
say that that whole organization is bad,
Mm.
but the thing about groups and organizations like that, they're going to attract narcissists. They're going to attract people who just want power. They're going to be attracting people who are just coming to try and, gain some sexual relevance, you know what I mean, among the group. Like a lot of people just join Christianity because they want uh, Christian cheeks for real. You know what I mean? And it happens like
Wow. Oh,
that.
that's
But
interesting. What to find,
is
you're saying what to find another Christian to like be partners with, to be,
I wouldn't even say, I'm not gonna say it's a negative thing,
uh-huh.
but there are some people that are doing it like I want to find a Christian wife. But there are
Mm.
others that are like, no, I just want Christian cheeks because I know that if I
Um,
go in there and I say this and I say that and I say this, then I'm pretty sure I can get what I want. And there's guys like that.
oh.
That's the reason it's hard for me to be, because like at one point they were like, you're gonna be a minister, you're gonna be a pastor, you're gonna be this, you're gonna be that, and it's hard for me to accept it because I know of a lot of men and women that
Mm-hmm.
are just doing it to,
For the wrong
basically exactly. And
reason.
that's not just Christianity, that's Islam, that's
Mm-hmm.
every like any group you can think of, there's going to be someone in there that doesn't have the best interest in mind for the people that are there. You know what I mean? Either
Mm-hmm.
they're just trying to, exert their power and live their narcissistic dreams, or they're just in there to try to, fellowship with, whoever they can get next to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's That's the reason why I say it's a you might have some Christian friends. You end up having some Scientology friends. You might have some Muslim friends. You know what I mean? You might
Mm-hmm.
end up getting a couple Sikh friends. But to say that, because I know this Sikh person and he's a cool person, or I know this Muslim person and he's a cool person, I'm going to become Muslim now, is not
Mm-hmm.
going to put you in a good space. You know what I mean? It's not guaranteed to put you in a good space. And I'm not going to say that, you might end up in a good, like, Christian community. That's a possibility. But at the other end of the spectrum, don't just join it thinking, oh, they say they're Christian, I'm going to trust. You know what I mean? It's very much so an individualistic thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Each one, you got to vet a little bit.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Actually, and that idea you just said, because I've been trying to create community more or something
Hmm.
around it. I always had this idea of how, because I'm more of a spiritual person, meaning I believe in
Hmm.
everything, and I think you
Yeah.
should just go with what gravitates towards you. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't, when I say I believe in everything, you know what I mean? Everything's connected in my
Yeah.
point of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had this
Different
idea.
sides of the same coin.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've had this idea of creating like a virtual space that
Hmm.
people could find find their people, because I host like
Hmm.
women's circles, or I've hosted in-person ones, and every time I host one, there's somebody that's there that has the same story, and I believe it's just
Hmm.
God connecting those people, just finding
Hmm.
places for people to connect, and
Hmm.
find their
Hmm.
people. So I like that idea when you kind of randomly just said, yeah, if there was some place every week that hosted these weekly
Yeah.
gatherings, I'm like,
Oh,
hmm.
I would be there. I would be there in attendance. I would be there.
Okay, okay, noted. Because me and the other guy previously were talking about how there should be more like spaces for men, and like these. I don't know if you heard of like the men like circles or something like that, like for men.
I am against the separation of the sexes, if I'm being honest. I do believe I believe that, having men and women congregate separately, not to say that it's because like even in language, I am very much so against romantic languages where they have this is a female, this is a male, this is how you say it. If you're a woman, this is how you say it. I don't even like that. But when it comes to the people in itself, you know what I mean? The separation of the sexes to me is like, okay, we're still human. It kind of takes away from the humanity of it. And it's like, okay, this is how you got to do it. It kind of leads to the lens to the gender roles type thing. You
Yeah,
know what
you
I
know
mean?
what?
It
That's so
leans to that
true.
so much. And I at one on one side, I do believe that there are things that women and men need to learn a little separately, but I also believe that the women and men should also know about those things. And I think a lot of the part, like the idea that men don't know that, women use tampons and things like that, they don't know how to navigate that space. That is a problem. And I think it stems from that. No, this is this and this is that. You know what I mean? At the other end of the
Mm.
spectrum, the idea that women don't think men have emotions and they don't share their emotions, like we don't really feel safe sharing those emotions in some cases because we're always in a boys group when we're doing that. And even when we're in those boys groups when we're doing that, we're getting fucking ridiculed most of the time. Like, stop being a bitch. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
that's a fucked up thing to have to deal with. You know what I mean? We kind of need those mixed spaces. And
Ah.
I think that'll help with a lot of the family oriented things and you know community. We're a community. We're supposed to commune. We're supposed to be around each other. You know what I mean? We're supposed to know everything about each other. You know what I mean? Because if we don't, then when we are together, it's just forcing two magnets together and hoping that they don't repel each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That, you know what, it's true because I have felt I've been called to do more like co-ed, like men and women, and even have
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot through talking to just two men that are, so you're right. You're right about
Mm-hmm.
that. You're right. You're right. And that's just confirmation totally. And then, yeah, that was the other thing that I was gonna, well, I talked about with the previous of like, I feel like there are like men versus women, especially people navigating through the endings of relationships. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's the men, it's the women, or men, everybody
Mm-hmm.
pits each other against each other. If they kind of came together, then they can like understand the why behind, like you said in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
and no, it's not personal. Everybody's just working through their own stuff and child
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and like and people projected in different ways and all that stuff. So man,
Yeah.
yeah, wow. Well, I'm inspired, so thank you. And I'm glad I got your attendance. So definitely gotta hold
Yeah.
you accountable to that. And maybe you can like
Yeah.
bring us some music or something. Who knows?
Oh, easily, happily. I have. That's not even. If I'm there, music's there. That's just how it's gonna go. You know what I mean?
Love
Everywhere I go, I drag it with me.
Love that. And then just randomly, really quick before we wrap up, with the idea, because
Hmm.
I'm trying to navigate through like, would should it be free or should it be paid? Like, what do you think? How do you feel with that? Because I've hosted free events, I've hosted paid events. I'm trying to navigate towards like, uh, because anytime anyone creates a space that takes like effort and promo, and so like, what do you think? What is your idea? Just because you seem so knowledgeable, I want to know.
I mean, a sponsored event. I mean, because yeah, the thing about trying to get people like just to pay to come, you know what I mean? They will come if
Mm,
we're being honest. But at the other end of the spectrum, you know what I mean? It becomes a paywall in essence.
mm,
So it's like, okay, only those that can afford to come can come. You know what I mean?
mm.
And some of the people that can't afford to come really need the space in itself. So
Yeah.
that's literally where I am with my music right now, if I'm being honest, because it's
Mhm,
like,
mhm,
Spotify is not as free as you want it to be. It's not paying. You know what I mean? So it's like I still want to share. You know what I mean? And I
mhm.
believe the things need to be out there, but
Yeah.
it's not easy to do without putting it through some sort of paywall. And it's been very much so a thing. Maybe like that's why I said sponsored. Definitely a sponsored situation. But um, both have their merits, to be honest.
Mm,
Free is going to make it very accessible to those who need the community and need to be able to express themselves. And they may, kind of set it up like church where it's like, oh, please donate. You know what I mean? Because
mm,
either way it goes, you'll make a little something, but it won't be as definitely making this amount of people come. You know what I
mm.
mean? Maybe have tiers to it. Maybe have different type of groups. You know what I mean? Because there'll be people that are only gonna come if they can pay. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
there'll be people that are only going to come if it's free. You know what I mean? And there'll be people
Mhm.
that'll be in the middle. You know what I mean? But you
Mm.
know, it's always
Yeah.
people are beautiful. It's the best way I can think of it. You know,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
it's a,
Ah, that's
yeah,
helpful. That's
yeah.
helpful. Yeah, I see that. Okay, okay, nice. All right. Well, I don't know if you know, but I'm an astrologer and I
Hmm.
give intuitive guidance, and I with the at the end of these shows, I always like to look up people's astrology and tell them a little bit
Hmm.
about themselves to see how their story and who they are connects with that. Are you open?
Hmm. Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Happily.
Ah, okay. Scorpio, no wonder you have so much depth to you. Definitely. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Scorpios. And then Gemini moon makes so much sense. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, just a general, I mean, it seems like you have a little bit of knowledge, but your sun energy is very you're definitely meant to transform people. I think you like that death and rebirth, those endings and beginnings, those high low lows. You like black like dark and light like going through that tunnel and like that's familiar to you. The things that people may shy away from, you probably dealt with all of the dark things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, agreed, agreed.
Yeah. But what you do with that determines how you use your power. And power in a way, or like your gift, I would say better than power. Uh, because it literally connects to what we were saying earlier of like, everything that you've been through, but you actually have chosen to alchemize that through your music and how you use that to help people.
Mhm.
And it's normal, and I have empathy for the people who've been through stuff, and but then they don't they al or what do you even call it, alchemizing it to like, but
Mhm.
then the hurt people type of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The getting over that is the hard part. That is a skill to get out of that hurting people cycle. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm,
have to actually get to a point where you're like, I'm no longer hurt by this. But a lot of people are being, in essence, incentivized to be traumatized, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
mm,
It's a lot of, and what I mean by that, they get a lot of attention, they get money sometimes, they get drugs and things of that nature. A lot of the things that they're doing are being overlooked. It's like, oh, they're traumatized, it's all good. And instead of saying, okay, I don't want to be that person, I want to heal, I want to get to a point where I'm not hurting people,
mm,
it really takes you saying, okay, I have to get over this hurt. You know what I mean? So you can stop that
mm,
cycle. Because
mm,
uh, it, for me personally, I love women. I
mm,
love women. And I couldn't even consider being gay. And that's why I say I don't have a problem with, I like that. I got my cousin's gay. You know what I mean? I
mm.
really fucks with, trans and all of that. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
same,
Lesbian,
of course.
everyone.
People are
But
people.
it's a,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it's a level of I just love women. And for me to get to a point where I can have an actual relationship with a woman
Mhm,
without being afraid for my life, it really took getting over the hurt and getting over, the things
mm,
that I was dealing with, from my childhood, So,
mm,
and I knew that my mom wasn't going to come help me to get over that. You know what I mean? It was going to
mm,
take me taking the time out and really wanting to be in the relationship and accept that, this is what that was. And when I'm in these situations, there is no actual danger there. You know what I mean? And
mm,
I've gone through those steps, and I've gotten to a point where I'm like, yeah, okay, I can move through this cycle without being afraid. And therefore I won't hurt this person that I love.
mm, Man, yeah. Yeah, that aligns because with Scorpio energy, sometimes they can uh let their fears stop them, or they very like, or the times where they were hurt, or like, or that could be the blocks to them connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
um and but then they hold themselves back from the true depth and that connection that they desire, but it's just the fear
Mm-hmm.
of, getting hurt or betrayed, or again, or even if it was that, even though, yeah, once again, you got to think about like other people. And here's the thing, even with parents, which is a tough one. It's like, I
Mm-hmm.
always I think it's helpful to think about who parented them.
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mm-hmm.
they're doing, like that, so it's like looking behind the person doesn't mean you accept, but just knowing that, thinking about it like that. But
Yeah. It's
man,
hard to see parents as human beings
I
sometimes. You're just a
know,
regular person. You're
I know, I know.
just a regular person, just like me at the end of the day, and that's one thing that helped me to get over that hurdle, recognizing that she was just a teenager. She didn't know what she was doing. She was over influenced by, the society that we're living in, and to think that she, just because she had me, should be able to, become perfect. You know what I mean? It's a hard thing to do because, you know, I'm not perfect. Even though I've been working on myself, so I can't expect her to have been perfect. You know what I mean? So it
Mm.
is
So much
a
growth and
little.
maturity, honestly, that
Eh,
you have a reason to, like, if anything, out of everybody, people complain about all kind of crazy stuff that is like, but I mean, but you don't, and not that you should, but you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, you, like,
yeah,
that is, that, that's,
yeah.
that's tough. That's tough.
It's a it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's worth the choking hazard. If that makes any sense.
Wow. 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 How do you think that knowledge comes with age, especially when it comes to, like, I would say, like, yeah, or just, yeah, I was gonna say men, but I was just gonna, because, but yeah, like, it took a while for you to get to where you are now. What, like, do you
Yeah,
think?
I don't. If I'm being honest, I think
Really?
knowledge comes, well, because if I'm being honest,
Uh-huh.
there are people that are older than me that still act like they're in high school.
That's very true. Yeah, you're
So
right. Never mind. Okay.
knowledge definitely comes with putting in the work to learn. You know what I mean? You can hold a book all day. You know what I mean? That it doesn't mean you're getting what's inside of it. You know what I mean? Knowledge comes with actually opening the book and turning the pages. And
Mm,
in this sense, looking inside and really getting to the core of who you are. You know what I
mm,
mean? In that sense.
mm, mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Well, and then even, yeah, yeah. I can go into depth about the Scorpio, but everything you just said, even like, once again, like I said, light and dark, but I can say, like, there's connection themes of, like, I would just say the themes for Scorpio through their life is like death and rebirth, but also, but literally it could be energetically, or like the meaning of like death, or like going through this, like, like I had an identity crisis of like, okay, the
Hmm.
ending, but it could literally be like
In the beginning.
like death, though, like that could be a
Yeah.
thing of like, there's experiences of that, whether it's thinking or
Hmm.
an experience or that, so that, but also the, once again, the intimacy, trust, fear, that connection and all of that, so very, very much aligns, for sure. And man, it's just, yeah. I love having conversations with people who can go there, though, because it's life, and people run away
Yeah.
from that stuff. But
In
it's,
honesty, life is more scary than death, to be honest. Uh, and it's because you don't know what life is actually going to bring, whereas you know what death is. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's just at the end, but truly it's just the beginning. You know what I mean?
mm,
And like I've come to a point where it's like when cycles end, I'm excited because it's like, okay, what's next? You know what I mean? And
mm,
I can say that takes time because even as a child, you're going to be a little bit afraid of new things. You know what I mean? Scared of the dark type energy. You know what I mean? And this, the fear of not knowing what's going to happen is very much so scary. But once you understand it, you can set yourself up to where, okay, I know I'm going into this new thing. I have X, Y, and Z set up. These are my plans. I want to see what happens with those rather than, oh my God, it's a new chapter. I don't know what fuck's going on. Let me panic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Perspective for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. And speaking
Yeah,
of that,
facts.
your internal energy is a Gemini, which once again makes so much sense. Geminis are the intellect. I would definitely say they
Yeah.
are probably the smartest of out of the zodiac or top, up there because they
Hmm.
consume so much information. So
Yeah.
emotionally, internally, like you feel the most fulfilled when you are learning, which very
Yeah.
makes sense
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just definitely like to also talk like that. It's very social person, and but sharing the knowledge that you have
Mm.
accumulated and
Yeah.
talking to
Right.
people with from different just different kind of people and learning different things and sharing and all of that.
Hmm.
Um, so very good with people, very social. And you may have you felt like in like change in some way like or like needing to like break free from anything or like have you had any a lot of emotional changes of any sort?
I mean, yeah, just in the sense of like, say, from my early childhood into now, it's been nothing but that in essence. And I've gotten to the point where I understand that the only thing constant in the world is change. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
if we expect everything to stay the same, it's gonna take a lot of work. And change is honestly easier. You know what I mean? So
mm.
I'm starting to embrace that in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like you, I mean, having a Gemini moon is like being able, because I think Gemini energy is like adaptable. So when
Yeah.
we think about your moon, that's your emotions, and you're able to like adapt emotionally to things, which whether that's something learned or you just, I
Yeah.
mean, you know, that.
Yeah. It
Mm,
took a lot, but I definitely gotten to the point where, yeah, that's absolutely true.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yes. So, and once again, since I don't have the exact time, it's just going to be very general, but I'm trying to see if there's any of the, oh wow, that's so interesting. So community is a big thing for you. Where you experience your most like luck and abundance is with community. You're definitely
Mm,
here to be a teacher to of some sort or to teach or help a community of like-minded people in different ways like on it. That
yeah.
that
Yeah.
that is for sure.
Yeah.
Do you feel
Well, it
that?
said since a kid, yeah, since a kid they told me I was going to be a pastor. So yeah, I guess
Mm.
it's just in the vibes, you know.
Yeah, is that what you I know you said do you want to do are you leaning toward it? Like what do you
I tell my homie all the time, bro. I'm technically a minister. Everywhere I go, I'm
you
trying
want?
to spread the positive vibes. If I'm being
Yeah.
honest, speak truth to power at all corners of the world. You know.
Mm, mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah, that is something important for you. I wonder, yeah, how that's gonna like manifest. That's so interesting, for you. And yeah, I think, but with that, it definitely, you don't want to stifle yourself. I mean, if the like actual literal church is not defined, like for you, you create your own, or you know,
Yeah.
you find you like that is very important for you. You need
Hmm.
open-minded people
Hmm.
and people who do things differently, like
Hmm.
innovators of some sort, creating your own.
In this space, hell, yeah, I'm sorry, excuse my language.
No,
In
you're okay.
this
You can curse here.
society, absolutely, yeah. It is a you hit it on the head. You can't just go into something sacred with just randomness. You know what I mean? You gotta be aligned. You know what I mean? And that's been the big problem. You know,
Mhm.
or what's been holding it up, the aligned.
Mhm. Mhm. And then for you, your biggest thing is just taking action. That's a big, I don't know if it's normal for you to do that. You seem like you have a little bit of, or maybe not, but like, just know that you can do it and like independently. Like whatever you want to
Yeah,
do, start. If you feel the pressure of needing to do that and take it seriously and not in a rush way, but like committing to it every day, just
yeah,
taking that aligned action every day and if any fears, worries of whatever comes up, just don't listen to that. Like you are
yeah,
being guided to take that aligned action every day.
yeah. Definitely, that is definitely true. Yeah, it's definitely true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been, if I'm being honest, I've
Yes,
been
please, because I feel a
waiting.
little hesitancy.
Yeah, because it's like I've been waiting for the right time to do it, and it's like I have all the like we've talked.
Mhm.
It's one of those situations where it's just like I know that it's coming, and I know that it's in time. It's the reason my name is Divine. It's like I want to do it in divine timing. I don't want to just try to force it out like, get this information. Because it could be a situation where it's not the right time and the information lands in the wrong place and it causes more harm than help. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Even though that I have a positive, mindset about it. You know what I mean?
mhm,
But it's just about timing and while I'm waiting, I'm definitely putting in the work to make, the it be successful before it even gets here. You know what I
mhm.
mean? So it's literally just waiting on the right time.
Yes, 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 for sure. And the right like people, I mean, I hear you and I just hear everybody and I'm just like I wish maybe I will create like 'cause I'm in like I have knowledge on social media and how to get things out
Mm,
and just certain things like
yeah.
that and like I really do feel like
Pause. That is a blessing because that is my weakness. So I'm sorry.
oh,
Yeah, that is my weakness. Yeah, I'm not really good at social media.
oh, huh. You know, I'm really starting to think that I need to like, I don't know, create like just a office hours or a group where people can ask questions about how to get their stuff
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, yeah,
Um, because it's common. I hear it for a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, I mean, because I do that naturally for my job. But I
mm,
do want to be able to just open up questions for the community and like help them
hmm,
help a lot of the creatives or people who have gifts just figure out whatever, answer any questions. So yeah, wow, that's interesting. Definitely interesting. Well, definitely serious about that, bringing
okay,
like having co-ed
mm,
gatherings, and definitely want you
yeah,
there, and definitely want, you and your music, and hope that can open doors in any kind of way. um, Thank you. Is there
yeah.
anything, last things that you wanted to say, or like, how do you feel?
I mean, I don't really know. I can't think of anything besides the natural thing for artists to do,
Yes, plug
plug
yourself.
music.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
plug your stuff. And actually,
Omar
it's probably,
Divine.
sorry, I was gonna say it's better for you to email it to me so I could
Okay.
add it to the video and the
Okay.
descriptions and all that.
Okay, I will. I will.
Yeah.
But it is Omar Divine, OMARDEVINE,
Mhm.
on all streaming services, and all social medias. But I also have Mauve Music, which is spelled M4UVE Music.
Mhm.
And, it's uh, in the middle of this um, rebrand. So,
Mhm.
it's probably not going to be Mauve Music for long. But thank you for having me in honesty. It was a joy. I wouldn't mind doing this again. This is a beautiful platform that you've created. Um, I wouldn't mind being a part of the community and bringing all that I can to it, and hoping that we can discuss things further one day.
Yes, and I'm serious. So
Yeah, I'm serious.
when you hear me coming to you in the next week or so, definitely just know I am like I am inspired, and I'm like this is all aligned. I love that.
Yeah,
Like once again, thank you God for bringing me the right people
yeah.
that are gonna be yeah.